Good evening. My name is Josh, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about the Space Shuttle Challenger tragedy back in 1986 and what we can learn from it. So, yeah, the Space Shuttle Challenger was a disaster in every sense of the word. NASA was entrusted with the lives of 7 people, one of them being a school teacher named Sharon Krista McAuliffe, who was set to become the first female to ever go to space. Conventional wisdom would tell us that NASA had all this space stuff figured out. After all, they did put a man on the moon in 1969. Fast forward to 1986, and that gave NASA approximately 17 years to get even better at it. Unfortunately, as evidenced by this debacle, that did not happen, and we will explain a little bit why. So Roger Boisjoli, if that's how you pronounce his name, was one of the main leaders of this excursion into space. And so he, as a leader, needed to make sure that everything was going to be all good before allowing the flight to happen. Obviously, from our perspective as, historical commentators, hindsight is always 2020, but great leaders always make sure that they're doing the right thing irregardless of political or outside pressure. And it may have been unpopular and disappointing to postpone the Challenger's flight again, but it would have been well worth it. Some engineers had already voiced their concerns regarding the effect of low temperatures on the O-ring material and the joints that sealed them. In my opinion, it would have been wise to postpone the flight and perform more testing that would provide more evidence to make an informed decision. Proceeding because there was insufficient evidence that this would cause any problems was highly irresponsible. And so, unfortunately, these engineers didn't trust their instincts when engineers, that's what they're exactly supposed to do, is they're supposed to question everything. If something may not be right, they're supposed to test it and make sure that that's not going to be a problem. So them just brushing off this issue regarding low, how these O-rings react to low temperatures and saying, oh, this won't really be a problem because, it's never, there's not enough evidence to prove that it's caused any problems in the past. What was a bad decision for sure. Some might suggest that there's a conflict of interest between being loyal to upper management and protecting the public welfare, but in my opinion, the best engineering firms and organizations are those that are transparent and honest about their processes and protect the public at all costs. If a project to construct a bridge takes 1 year longer than anticipated, that is much better than hastily making assumptions and cutting corners, which could result in the death of an innocent citizen. So it may seem mundane or cliche, but always do what is right no matter what. And that goes for every situation that we may be in. We may not be engineers. We may be, business people. We may be accountants. We may be school teachers. There's a whole host of professions. And I think if the one common thing that we can all get down is to do what's right, we would live in a much better world with a lot less problems and a lot less people would die, personally. But thank you for watching. I'm sure there's, millions of viewers all around the world. But, yeah, so that's kind of my speech.